Афганистан – это многонациональное государство. Здесь проживает более 20 народностей. Таджики, туркмены, узбеки. Вдоль границы с Пакистаном – пуштуны. На западе – хазарейцы, монголоиды, осевшие здесь, видимо, со времен монгольского нашествия. Собственно говоря, слово «хазар» в тюркских языках обозначает «тысяча». А вам неинтересно, солдат?
Товарищ капитан, они все равно кого мочить?
За всю историю никто и никогда не сумел завоевать Афганистан. Никто и никогда.
Let's look back on how the Afghan war started. President Bush asserted that Osama bin Laden was responsible for the events of September 11, 2001. He demanded that the Taliban government in Afghanistan hand over bin Laden. In reply, the government of Afghanistan asked to see some evidence that bin Laden was involved with 9/11. Rather than provide that evidence and enlist the cooperation of the Afghan government, Bush started bombing Afghanistan on October 7, 2001.
Less than a month after the 9/11 attacks, President Bush issued an ultimatum to the Taliban. Turn over Osama bin Laden or face the consequences.
None of these demands were met. And now, the Taliban will pay a price.
حسب ما سمعت من أحد رجال الشورى له المقربين له، كان مطلب الأمريكا لم يكن طلب أسامة فقط، إنما كان أمريكا تطلب منه قائمة فيه حوالي 30 مادة، منها إلغاء نظام الشريعة، منها إلغاء المنهج الدراسي والدراسة المختلطة بالرجال والنساء، منه قبول الناس علمانيين معه في الحكم، إلغاء الحدود، تسليم جميع المجاهدين من غير الأفغان للأمريكا.
يريد إقامة دولة أخرى
كلها، يعني ما كان يتسع لأمير المؤمنين أن يقبل كل هذه الشروط، فكان بمثابة قبول الكفر له بمقابل الحكم. فجزاه الله خير أنه ثبت وتنازل عن الحكم، وكان صعب على الناس يقفوا ضد أمريكا ويعلنوا الجهاد ضده. فخطوة أخذتها خطوة أعتبره خطوة تاريخية، وأعتبره رجل مثل الشعب الأفغاني والمجاهدين تمثيلا حقيقيا، وحافظ على الدماء التي أريقت لأجل الإسلام في أفغانستان.
قاوم وأمطر من سلالة صهيوني، نعم قاتل لأنك نصرنا، قاتل نداء الكفر في كل الحصون.
This is Afghanistan. Alexander the Great tried to conquer this country. Then Genghis Khan, then the British. Now Russia. But Afghan people fight hard. They never be defeated. Ancient enemy, make prayer about these people. You wish to hear? Very good. It says, may God deliver us from the venom of the cobra, teeth of the tiger, and the vengeance of the Afghan. You understand what this means?
That you guys don't take any shit?
Yes. Something like this.
Armies find Afghanistan easy to invade but impossible to govern. The Persians, Greeks, Arabs, Turks, the Mongols, the British, and the Soviets have gone down this road and all have failed.
I have fought against the Soviets alongside the Afghan resistance. 500,000 Soviet troops could not contain us, the Afghan resistance at that time. How can we expect that 50 or 60,000 troops can contain Afghanistan? It would be a military fallacy. It would be a strategic blunder.
The 30,000 additional troops that I'm announcing tonight will deploy in the first part of 2010.
This is an 18th century strategy being employed against a 14th century enemy.
Other countries, one after the other, have given up on this strategy over the years. The Soviet Union stopped doing it in the 1990s, but it was too late to avoid their disintegration. I hope that we somehow manage to avoid the same fate.
The top U.S. commander in Afghanistan says the Taliban have gained the upper hand and are winning the war, forcing the U.S. to change its strategy in the 8-year-old conflict by increasing the number of troops in heavily populated areas.
The London Times reports that a new British Army field manual published last week instructs British soldiers to buy off potential Taliban recruits with, quote, bags of gold.
The French have lost 26 soldiers in direct combat with the Taliban. Nearly half that number were killed in a single incident that occurred last year when they were ambushed in Sorubi, 50 kilometers east of Kabul. 10 soldiers were killed in that attack and another 21 were wounded. It's the heaviest loss they've suffered so far. Now the Taliban say the French are paying them not to fight.
The French in Sorubi tried to send gifts to the fighters and offered them a lot of money in return for not launching attacks targeting the French troops. But the Taliban fighters replied by rejecting everything and strongly demanding the departure of the French troops and all other troops from our country, which they invaded by force.
The main highway between Kabul and Jalalabad, we spoke to the villagers to see if they could corroborate the allegations.
There is a line, a ceasefire line if you like, that's been drawn by the French, but the Taliban do not abide by it. They send fighters across it, but the French stay firmly on their side of the line.
Talking to your enemies. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said in order to bring peace to Afghanistan, it may mean talking to the Taliban and other insurgent forces.
I think that the starting premise is you don't make peace with your friends. You have to be willing to engage with your enemies.
Clinton's comments came at a news conference following a London meeting on Afghanistan. Earlier, Afghan President Hamid Karzai told the conference that he wanted Saudi Arabia, the trusted go-between with the Taliban leadership, to help bring peace.
The leaders at the conference had agreed on a timetable to hand over security duties from foreign troops to Afghan forces, British Foreign Secretary David Miliband.
The intention is for some provinces to transition by late 2010, early 2011. On the road to meeting President Karzai's commitment that half of Afghanistan's provinces will have Afghan security leadership within 3 years.
What do you think of the current situation in Afghanistan?
You, the BBC, and American puppet radios have created concern that the current situation in Afghanistan is related to a bigger cause, that is, the destruction of America. And on the other hand, to some extent, the purification of Taliban is also in process. We will see this in a short time.
What do you mean by the destruction of America? Do you have a concrete plan to implement this?
The plan is going ahead, and, God willing, it is being implemented. But it is a huge task, which is beyond the will and comprehension of human beings. If God's help is with us, this will happen within a short period of time. Keep in mind this prediction.